Policemen were called upon to investigate an incredibly bad stench coming from an abandoned house. Some of you might think it's just a bad case of a late-night party, but think again. They didn't expect what they were about to see. Before the video begins, please remember to like the video, subscribe, and click on the notification bell for more amazing content like this one. Now let's get back into it. The people in the small village of Toliara in Madagascar knew something was wrong when they kept smelling something awful in an abandoned house nearby. It was plaguing the entire area, and the scent kept getting worse. Finally, the residents came together and decided to take action, but because they didn't want to trespass, they had to call the authorities. It took some time before they came, and the people even began to see some people enter the said property. How could people bear going in there in the first place? When the cops came, they brought in some experts on the ready so they could understand what was going on. They had a medical examiner ready because someone might have died in the house. But since it could also be animal-related, they had Sori Randrian, a wildlife expert, at bay if her expertise was needed. When they came near the house, the pungent odor got stronger that made some of them dizzy and back out. The resilient part of the forest broke through the doors and found a few people inside, wearing masks and equipped with shovels. Fortunately, the men immediately gave themselves up, indicating that they were doing something shady. It turns out that the shovels weren't for fighting the cops, but to hide something. The house was a wreck. The interior of the building was severely damaged, and it looked like the house would break down at any minute. However, they had to be brave and see what the problem was. A quick look into the house would show the source of the smell. Thousands of tortoises covered the floor all over the house, and that's not an overstatement, as literally all the floors of the house were crawling with these reptiles. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. The police were right to bring the wildlife expert with them. She inspected the animals and saw that these animals were normal tortoises. The woman couldn't find out the exact species just yet and put in her efforts to take the creatures out of the house. The poor little beings were kept in the house like a can of sardines, without food or water. Some of the animals had even died already. The wildlife expert had to find some shelter for them. The longer they were there, the shorter their lives would be. Later on, the wildlife expert and her team learned that these animals were called radiated tortoises. A few species of these lived in Madagascar and were a rare sight to the entire world. They are known to be docile creatures, which made them easy to capture. Not to mention, they had a peculiar mark on their shells that made them attractive. Because of their rarity, they fetched a high price to people who wanted to keep them as pets or even eat them as a delicacy. Of course, these actions are illegal, but no one was stopping these things from happening. Radiated tortoises are now almost extinct due to illegal human activity. In the 1990s, there were about 12 million of them, but the number dropped to 6 million in 2010. And despite efforts to save them, their population has gone down to 3 million. Because of this fact, they knew that they had to save these babies. Since 9,000 of them were there, each one had the potential to increase the numbers back to what it once was. A lot of the tortoises there were sickly and needed great care to turn them back to being healthy again. They did the best they could, but not all of the animals survived. It was simply impossible to save all of them. However, the good news is that about 8,000 of them survived the terrible incident. Now that begs the question, what now? Were you supposed to release a huge number of them back into the sea, where poachers were waiting for them? Even if the few men in that house were arrested, there were still tons of them out there, continuing their evil deeds. Luckily, a team of experts volunteered to make sure that they're kept safe until they're mature, enough to be away from the danger of poachers. Hopefully, these efforts could help significantly to increase their population back up. It's a great thing that the turtles now have a big space to roam around and enjoy life. They get the food and water that they need. While these animals don't really need attention like our dogs and cats, it's good that they are kept safe for now. Meanwhile, justice is served to those that did this cruel act to the tortoises. They're going to serve a longer time in jail for what they've done. May this video send a warning to those that continue to do this crime. If they continue with what they do, perhaps one day they also see what it's like holding up against their will in an enclosed space. If you liked that video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you'll always have interesting videos to watch. We'll see you in the next one!